The unexpected encounter. The day Earth's skies changed started like any other at the International Space Defense Command. Commander Elena Reyes was reviewing satellite data when every screen in the control room flickered and went dark. For 3 heartbeats, there was silence. Then the screens reactivated, displaying a geometric symbol that pulsed with an eerie blue light. What the hell is that? Elena's second-in-command, Major David Chen, leaned forward, squinting at his terminal. It's on every screen, confirmed Lieutenant Aisha Okafor, rapid-fire tapping at her keyboard. Worldwide. TV broadcasts, internet streams, personal devices, everything. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. This isn't a hack. No human technology could do this. As if responding to her words, the symbol dissolved into an image. A being appeared on screen, vaguely humanoid with iridescent gray skin, 4 arms, and 3 vertical slits where eyes should be. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move, but a deep, resonant voice emerged from every speaker. People of Earth, I am Grand Admiral Vexnar of the Galactic Hegemony. Our civilization spans 1,000 worlds across 3 spiral arms of this galaxy. We have observed your development for centuries. You have reached the threshold where we must establish formal contact. The creature paused, its head tilting slightly. The hegemony requires your immediate and unconditional surrender. Your planet will be incorporated into Sector 17. You will provide resources and labor as directed. Resistance is futile and will result in planetary sterilization. You have 7 Earth rotations to submit your formal acceptance. Prepare your leaders for transition protocols. The screens returned to normal, leaving the control room in stunned silence. Within an hour, the United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from every nation gathered virtually as scientists confirmed the transmission originated from a massive fleet that had suddenly appeared in orbit around Jupiter, a fleet that hadn't been there 24 hours earlier. Dr. Sanjay Patel, Earth's leading xenolinguist, addressed the assembly. The language pattern suggests a civilization accustomed to dominance. Their communication style implies they expect immediate compliance. Can we fight them? Asked the Russian representative, her face grim. General William Hayes of the United States shook his head. Their technology allows them to cross interstellar distances and hack every electronic device on our planet simultaneously. Our most advanced weapons would be like throwing rocks at a battleship. Then we surrender, said the Chinese delegate flatly. We buy time to prepare. UN Secretary General Amara O'Keefe raised her hand. Before we decide, I'd like to introduce someone. Dr. Maya Henderson is a game theorist who specializes in conflict resolution. A woman with calm eyes and steel-gray hair appeared on screen. Thank you, Madam Secretary. I've been analyzing the alien message, and I've noticed something peculiar. The hegemony's threats follow a predictable pattern. Formal, almost ritualistic. It's as if they're reading from a script they've used many times before. What does that tell us? Asked the British representative. It suggests they expect a certain response. Fear, panic, capitulation. What if we don't give them what they expect? What if we simply don't care about their threats? Murmurs rippled through the assembly. You mean call their bluff? Asked the French delegate. Not exactly, Dr. Henderson replied. I mean acknowledge them, but don't show fear. Treat this like an ordinary diplomatic contact. Based on their communication style, I suspect the hegemony has expanded largely through intimidation rather than actual conflict. They may not know how to respond if we don't follow their expected script. After hours of debate, the UN reached a decision. On the 7th day, Earth broadcast its response. Secretary General O'Keefe stood before cameras transmitting the message directly to the alien fleet. To the galactic hegemony, Earth sends greetings. We acknowledge your contact and express interest in establishing relations with spacefaring civilizations. However, we do not respond to threats or demands for surrender. We invite your representatives to meet with ours to discuss potential future relations based on mutual respect and benefit. We suggest neutral coordinates for these talks. We look forward to learning about each other without the unnecessary posturing." In his command vessel orbiting Jupiter, Grand Admiral Vexnar received the message. For the first time in his 700-year career, he was genuinely perplexed. This wasn't how new species were supposed to respond. By now, they should be begging for mercy, offering tribute, preparing for integration. They didn't even ask about our weapons capabilities, his second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Zorlak observed. Most species immediately request demonstrations to assess the threat. Perhaps they don't understand the situation. Vexnar said slowly. Prepare a demonstration. Target their moon. Minimal damage, just enough to fracture the surface visibly from their planet. The hegemony's weapon lanced out, carving a molten trench across the lunar surface visible from Earth with the naked eye. The Admiral waited for the panicked response. It came 3 hours later, but not in the form he expected. Rather than pleas for mercy, Earth sent technical questions. Fascinating energy yield. What power source drives your weapon systems? The dispersion pattern suggests novel particle physics applications. Would you be willing to share the theoretical framework? Vexnar stared at the message in disbelief. This isn't normal, he muttered. No species has ever reacted this way. Perhaps we should increase the demonstration's severity, suggested Zorlak. No, the Admiral decided. I need to see these humans myself. Prepare my diplomatic vessel. I will meet with their leaders personally. As the hegemony shuttle approached Earth, Vexnar studied the planet through viewing screens. Despite his ship's visible approach, there were no mass evacuations, no military scrambling, no panic. Cities continued to function. Air traffic maintained regular patterns. It was as if humans were completely unconcerned by the presence of a vastly superior alien force. A shuttle docked at the International Space Station, where a small delegation waited. As the airlock cycled, Vexnar prepared himself for the inevitable moment when the humans would see him in person and finally show the appropriate terror. The door opened. 5 humans stood waiting. 3 women, 2 men, representing different regions of Earth. None carried weapons. None showed fear. Instead, a woman stepped forward with a polite smile. Welcome to Earth's orbital platform, Grand Admiral Vexnar. I'm Dr. Elena Reyes, appointed by the United Nations to lead this delegation. We've prepared accommodations suitable for your biology. Would you prefer to rest first, or proceed directly to preliminary discussions? The Admiral's sensory slits widened in confusion. This wasn't how conquered species behaved. This wasn't in any protocol the hegemony had established over its 10,000 years of expansion. You do understand your situation, he asked finally. Elena's smile didn't falter. We understand you've made contact and expressed interest in our planet. We understand you possess advanced technology, and we understand that productive relationships begin with dialogue, not threats. Shall we proceed to the conference room? Our scientists have many questions about your faster-than-light travel capabilities. The physics implications are fascinating. For the first time in centuries, Grand Admiral Vexnar, conqueror of 300 worlds, felt completely out of his depth. As he followed the human delegation through the station, he sent an urgent message back to the Hegemony High Command. Unexpected complications. Humans displaying aberrant response patterns. Request full cultural analysis protocols and reinforcements. In orbit above Earth, the massive Hegemony flagship's lights dimmed slightly, as if reflecting its commander's uncertainty. Turning the tables. 2 weeks after first contact, the Galactic Hegemony was in crisis. Grand Admiral Vexnar paced the conference room aboard his flagship, 4 arms clasped behind his back in frustration. Around a large holographic table sat representatives from different species, all high-ranking hegemony officials, all equally baffled by the human problem. In 10,000 years of expansion, we have never encountered a species like this, Vexnar said, projecting recordings of his meetings with Earth representatives. They acknowledge our superior technology, but show no fear. When we destroyed one of their orbital satellites as a demonstration, they asked for engineering specifications and offered to trade rare minerals for technical data. Cultural specialist Thalara, whose crystalline body sparkled under the ship's lights, studied the footage. Most concerning is their psychological profile. When our empaths tried to project fear impulses, the humans merely noted the sensation and continued discussions. "What do they want?" asked military strategist Crocs, a massive reptilian being. "Every species wants something: safety, resources, power. They appear most interested in knowledge," replied Science Officer Milnar, who resembled an upright feline. "They ask countless questions about our propulsion systems, our biology, our history. Their scientists have requested academic exchange programs." "It's almost as if," began Vexinar, then stopped himself. "Almost as if what, Admiral?" prompted Thalara. "Almost as if they've been expecting us. As if meeting a vastly more advanced alien civilization isn't surprising to them." The conference room fell silent as the implications sank in. Meanwhile, on Earth, the human response team gathered in an underground facility beneath Geneva. The room buzzed with activity as scientists and military specialists analyzed data from the hegemony encounters. Dr. Maya Henderson pointed to neural scans displayed on the main screen. The hegemony species share a fascinating commonality. Their neurological response to threats is binary. When faced with overwhelming force, their brains essentially lock into submission patterns. It's an evolutionary trait that likely emerged from the predator-prey relationships on their various homeworlds. "And humans don't have this?" asked Secretary General O'Keefe. "No," confirmed Dr. Sanjay Patel. "Human brains maintain cognitive flexibility under threat. We can feel fear while simultaneously planning, analyzing, even joking. It's why gallows humor exists. Our ancestors had to think creatively while being hunted. The hegemony species never developed this trait. Their civilizations evolved through different paths." General Hayes leaned forward. "So you're saying our psychological response itself is our advantage?" "Precisely." Dr. Henderson nodded. "The hegemony's entire conquest model relies on triggering a neurological surrender response through fear demonstrations. When that fails, when a species like us doesn't follow the script, their protocol breaks down. They literally don't know what to do next. And we've confirmed they've never fought an actual war," asked the Russian representative. "Not in over 6,000 years," confirmed Intelligence Director Garcia. "Their weapons are impressive, but their tactics are rudimentary. They've never needed to develop them because fear alone has been sufficient." Secretary General O'Keefe smiled. "Then we continue as planned. We keep discussions civil, we express interest in cultural exchange, and we never, ever show fear." 3 days later, Grand Admiral Vexinar sat across from the human delegation in the neutral meeting facility constructed in Earth orbit. The Admiral had brought reinforcements, 3 of the hegemony's most accomplished intimidators. Yet the humans maintained their infuriating calm. "We've reviewed your resource demands," said Dr. Elena Reyes, sliding a data tablet across the table. "Earth can provide approximately 15% of your requested materials without harming our ecosystems. We propose a gradual increase over the next 50 years as we develop more sustainable extraction methods." 15% is unacceptable, Vexinar stated flatly. "The hegemony requires full compliance." Dr. Reyes shrugged. "Then we have a problem. Earth won't destroy itself to meet your quotas. The hegemony could take what it wants by force," one of the Admiral's advisors growled, leaning forward menacingly. "You could try," acknowledged General Hayes calmly. "But forced extraction is inefficient. You'd have to commit significant resources to occupation. And you'd have to explain to your superiors why you couldn't handle one primitive planet through standard protocols." Vexinar's sensory slits narrowed. The human had touched a sensitive point. Hegemony commanders were rewarded for efficient conquests and severely penalized for resource-intensive subjugations. "Perhaps," the Admiral said slowly, We could discuss alternatives. In that moment, something unprecedented happened. The balance of power shifted, not through weapons or technology, but through humanity's unique psychological resilience, their ability to face cosmic threats without surrendering to fear. Over the following months, negotiations evolved. The initial demand for Earth's surrender transformed into discussions of trade agreements. Hegemony scientists, fascinated by humans' cognitive differences, requested research exchanges. Military officials, secretly impressed by humanity's calm defiance, began considering defensive alliances. 1 year after first contact, a historic treaty was signed. Earth would join the galactic hegemony not as a conquered world, but as an associate member with special status. Humans would serve as diplomatic intermediaries for future first contacts, their unique psychological makeup making them ideal for engaging with new civilizations without triggering fear responses. In a private meeting after the signing ceremony, Secretary General O'Keefe faced Admiral Vexnar across a small table. "There's something I've been wondering, Admiral," she said. "Your initial approach, the threats, the demonstrations of force, was that standard procedure for the hegemony?" "For 10,000 years," Vexnar admitted. "It has always been efficient. Species surrender, resources are collected, the hegemony expands. No actual violence required. Until humans, the Admiral agreed, his voice containing something new, respect. "You were the first species to simply not care about our threats." It was most disconcerting. Amara smiled. "We've been imagining meeting aliens for centuries, Admiral. In our stories, we've been conquered, enslaved, exterminated, but we've also befriended, allied with, and occasionally outsmarted advanced civilizations. By the time you actually arrived, we had mentally rehearsed this moment for generations." Vexnar was quiet for a moment. "The Hegemony High Command is still processing the implications. Some suggest your species represents an evolutionary path we had not considered possible." "And what do you think, Admiral?" "I think," he said slowly, "that the galaxy just became considerably more interesting." As the Hegemony fleet departed Earth orbit weeks later, they left behind scientific liaisons and diplomatic personnel, no longer conquerors but partners. On view screens across the planet, humans watched the massive ships vanish into hyperspace, their departure not a relief but a beginning. Humanity had faced its first galactic test, not with superior weapons or technology, but with their uniquely human quality, the ability to stare into the cosmic abyss without blinking. And in doing so, they had earned something far more valuable than mere survival. They had earned respect. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now represented not a frontier but a neighborhood, one that humanity was uniquely qualified to navigate. The species that couldn't be frightened into submission was about to reshape galactic politics forever, armed with nothing more than their infuriating, remarkable cosmic indifference to threats. The universe would never be the same.